Welcome into the Gridiron Grind. Creta 3 and Jimmy G back with another week. Jam-packed show. It's a huge weekend in college football. It was a huge weekend last weekend in college football. And Jimmy, I just want to thank you. We talked about this last week on the show with your
You're
picks.
welcome, buddy.
You hadn't got off to the best start, and I was pretty pumped when you picked OU. I thought that was a good sign for the Horns, my Horns. And it turns out it was. Horns dominate the Red River. They dominated the second half. Oklahoma's up 6-3 at halftime. Texas with a strong second half, really a strong third quarter where they dominated the third quarter. Texas ran 27 plays alone in the third quarter. OU only ran 4. John Mateer, somebody forgot to tell John Mateer OU was wearing white because he was throwing it to the
Dude,
wrong.
no joke. He looks bad.
Yeah, and so of course everybody's like, well, the thumb, the thumb, the thumb, the hand, and maybe so. But they were also saying he was throwing the ball well and looked good in warm-ups. And
Mm.
maybe he didn't practice a lot last week. That's probably all possible. Um, I don't know. But if you play, you're judged on the performance when you play. If you weren't healthy, maybe you shouldn't have played. He
It's true.
played. He threw 3 interceptions, and honestly, he should have been more like 6. I mean, Texas were gifted a couple more that they dropped. So, I mean, I was pumped. Huge win for the Horns. OU was undefeated, ranked number 6, but they got exposed in a lot of areas. The Sooners did. In Texas, as much as I loved it and loved to see it, it was a big game that was in the right moment for the Horns against a huge rival. I'm not expecting that every week. And so I've tempered my expectation. I was excited for the win, but I also understand the Horns are who they're going to be. They're going to have to scratch and claw to win football games, and we got to play it week by week. So I'm pumped about the win. I mean, a huge win against OU. My favorite stat is first of all, OU. It's the third time in the last 4 years Oklahoma did not score a touchdown against Texas.
I was about to ask how many touchdowns have they scored on y'all in recent memory?
So 3 of the last 4 years, no touchdowns. 2 years in a row. So the time they play next year, it'll be over 1,000 days since Oklahoma had scored a touchdown.
Mm.
And they did not even get in the red zone. OU had 0 snaps in the red
Wow.
zone Saturday, and they've only had one in the last 2 years. One snap or one penetration into the red zone in 2 years. So no snaps inside the 20-yard line. That Texas
Wow.
defense responded and came to play.
Yeah, they did. I was on the road driving annual fishing trip to Arkansas, so I didn't get to watch the Hogs or your Horns play. So just kind of keeping up with it, and kept seeing. I go, man, Texas is close, it's close. Texas is up, Texas is up, and Texas just kept OU, like you said, out of the end zone and did what good teams they did what teams need to do. And it's what good teams do is they get a lead, they hang on to it, they find a way to win. Um, and so yeah, man, you're welcome. Like I said, I knew last
Thank
week,
you,
I
Jimmy.
said I'll probably end up cursing Oklahoma, which is fine. It doesn't bother me. But I knew when I picked them, I said, well, I'll either go all victor. I'll win every bet this week, or if I lose one, I bet it's going to be that one. So that was good. Arkansas covered, so that worked
Hey, they
too.
sure
And
did. You won
what a
that
good
bet.
weekend! It was a good weekend of
Yeah,
college football.
heck of a weekend. Yeah, Arkansas plays Tennessee very close, 3-point game. Tennessee ends up winning. Ohio State took care of business against Illinois. I mean, they're good. Them we've talked about it. Ohio State, Miami, two best teams in the country. And
That was
you know
my
what?
game for Ohio State. Yeah, that was my game. Like I said, I go, we're going to find out because Illinois is playing really good football. I figured Bielema would have something, some wrinkles added in. He'd come in with a pretty good game plan. And 14 and a half, I really like that. Ohio State came in and just dominated,
They did.
took care of business. And so,
You
yeah,
know,
Ohio State's number one for
you know
sure.
who I'd have number 3 right now, and the most shocking result of the weekend for me was Indiana going to Oregon and
Yeah,
taking care of business.
yeah.
Indiana is for real. Kirk Cignetti, we've talked about it. You Google him, he wins. I would put Indiana number three right now. That's an impressive win. And then I think you got to put Texas A&M at number four. If I had a vote, I'd put A&M at four. They're undefeated. Uh, but they've been taking care of business. They've really been playing good football, really 2 weeks in a row. I mean, they had that win against Notre Dame, and that was back and forth, could have went either way. There's some penalties that didn't get called. Whatever, they won the game. But the last 2 weeks, they've really taken in spots that you could see them maybe playing close games. A&M's taking care of business. I think A&M's your fourth best team in the country right now, in my opinion.
I agree with that. And, Stignetti, like you said, his press conference, one of the most memorable press conferences I've ever seen. Google me. All I do is win. I've won
Yeah,
everywhere I've been. Not going to be any different here. And he wasn't lying. And this is Indiana football, not Indiana basketball. So, you know, that's that's pretty impressive. Especially,
very
it's
impressive.
one thing when they've got a guy like Michael Penix to win, or they've got oh man, I just went blank. What was their running back that they had a few years ago that was a stud? Um, well, I can't think anyway. But when you've got stud players, it's easy to win. But he's basically doing it all new roster the last couple of years, and he's recruited well. And yeah, Indiana, man, you can't take him for granted, as Oregon found out.
No.
How many you think all the schools at least reach out to him, right? Penn
Yeah,
State,
I
Vatech,
think Penn
Illinois,
State, if you're Penn
Arkansas.
State, he's your number one guy.
I think he's
But
calls 1, 2, and 3.
yeah, but I think he's got ties. I heard his wife uh is from Indiana. I'm not sure if he's really from Indiana, but he was the
Mhm.
head coach he left the staff at Alabama under Nick Saban, and he took a pay cut to go be the head coach at IUPUI, which is I think Division II in Indiana, because he wanted to be a head coach. And then he made his way to James Madison, where James Madison was a powerhouse under him. And then he's in
Yeah,
Indiana. 2 years in Indiana. He started off 10-0 last year, makes the playoff, and now he's what 6-0. I mean, with some very impressive wins already. I mean, he dominated Illinois, and it goes on the road, beats Oregon, and Oregon has looked really good. I mean, the dude's a winner. I think Indiana, they're probably going to give him a raise, and he's going to have his choice to see what he wants to do because, there's a bunch of jobs that are going to be open that, he could be interested in, but I don't know because it was kind of I mean, he can stay in Indiana and have success, and they're going to love him forever because the
right.
expectations aren't near as high. He goes to Penn State. I mean, James Franklin was very successful at Penn State, and they finally had enough because he was never going to win the big one, and they got rid of him. So, do you leave a spot like Indiana to go at Penn State, and then if he could have the same success as James Franklin, but end up getting fired, Indiana could love him forever.
And I always say, you look at a guy like what happened with Shaka Smart leaving VCU and going to Texas, you would think a guy goes to a place, like from Indiana to Penn State. The recruits that you're going to get or that
Yeah.
you're able to recruit goes up drastically, right? Like you whether you use the star metric, the star rating system, or whatever. But you remember Shaka going to Texas, you're going, oh crap, dude, he's going to have. I mean, Texas big time program, and he just couldn't get it done. And I'm going, man, if I was him, I'd never left VCU. But you got to take a job like Texas when it comes open.
Yeah.
Whereas Stignetti here at Indiana, you may be right. If I'm him, I mean, because he seems okay with the if we have any Indiana football fans, they may not like this, but especially since they're what third, they're undefeated, But I'm going these sort of lower tier football teams. I mean, if I was him, just like what you said, I'd stay there forever. Like Chris
Probably
Peterson at
right.
Boise State. How many times did he get calls? And
Yeah.
he was just like, no, I'm gonna hang out here at Boise State. Like sometimes the grass isn't always greener. Sometimes it doesn't work out for those guys. Not saying it necessarily wouldn't for him, but you're right. Look what James Franklin did and then got fired midseason. So yeah, stay in Indiana, buddy.
Yeah, I think it's a great analogy because you see it with coaches. They have a certain style. Signetti, I mean, he is a Midwest, like hard-nosed working, like he's that type. He
Mm.
gets those type of players, and those type of players play so hard and so well for him. And like you use the analogy of Shaka Smart going to Texas. He'd never recruited and got 5-star players before. And then Texas,
Right.
his style didn't fit their brand, like what was best for those players, and it never worked. And it could be the same thing. You go to Penn State, you're going to get a bunch of 5 stars and like high, caliber guys that maybe have a different style, don't have that gritty, style, Midwest style. And I think it's a great analogy. He might be one of those, like Matt Campbell. That's probably why Matt Campbell stayed at Iowa State, even though they've
Mhm.
had so much success, is because he's a Midwest, gritty, hard-nosed type of guy. He's not about the flash. And I won't be shocked if Kirk Cignetti stays in Indiana.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. And like you said, if I was him, it's not like you got anyone to be compared to at Penn State. You'd always have Joe Pa, and you'd have a
Yep.
little bit of James Franklin. But in Indiana, who do you got? It's you, buddy. Unless it's basketball, you don't have anyone else to compare yourself to. So, Saban had Bear Bryant, and he finally surpassed, depending on the generation that you ask. But I think it's
Right.
safe to say Bear Bryant is two, Saban one down there in Alabama. But golly, look what all he had to do it. So yeah,
Right.
I'd just chill at Indiana if I was him. Good for him.
Yeah. All right. So that's last week. This week, there is 5 ranked versus ranked matchups. And we'll run through them real quick. I mean, it's a huge weekend of college football. It
Mhm.
is a lot of stuff that's going to get worked out. The picture will become more clear after Saturday. First, you got number 10 LSU at number 17 Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, 2.5 point favorite. I mean, we're gonna learn a lot about both. Each team has one loss. Vanderbilt with a loss to Alabama, LSU with a loss to Ole Miss. Both of them have top 10 losses. Both of them have played great football. Um, Vanderbilt, a small favorite at home. Does that surprise you at
Mhm.
all?
It does. But again, I guess depending on who you talk to, it really doesn't. The way they've been playing, I think everybody thought they were going to play Bama close, and they did, but Alabama came in and handled their business. A little bit surprising because it is LSU, but it's at home. It's in Nashville. They're at Nash Vegas. They get crazy, and that one I'm really excited to see if Pavia can get his second big. I mean, God, beating LSU would be a huge win as well, just like Alabama was.
Yep, absolutely. It sure would at home. Then you got number 5, Ole Miss at number 9, Georgia, a top 10 matchup. Georgia squeaks by Auburn. Give it up for Kirby Smart with clapping. I don't know if did you see that at all? So he's the the play clock's running down. First of all, like Auburn's up like 10-0. Controversial call on a fumble. Did he fumble? Did he score? Was he down? Jackson Arnold could have made it 17-0. They call it fumble short of the goal line. I I I feel like that was probably the right call. So, I mean, Auburn's right there. And then I think it might be 13-10, or it's a close game at this point in the late in the
Mhm.
third. Play clock's running down for Georgia. They're kind of discombobulated. Kirby Smart starts screaming and running at the ref, and you can hear the audio. They're clapping, they're clapping, they're clapping, trying to say that Auburn's clapping the cadence. There's like 5 seconds on the play clock, but he's doing this like he's at. So they
Oh,
call a timeout, and then he goes nuts. It's like, I didn't want a timeout. I was telling you they're clapping. I'll tell you they're clapping. No, it's clear as day. He was doing the timeout, and then the refs. So they call the timeout against him, and then overturned that and said no, he didn't ask for the timeout. He's clapping. So they put 25 seconds back on the play clock. So
what?
exactly. So
Wow.
I mean, basically, he saved himself a 5-yard penalty on third down, and he got to save the timeout. So
And that's
Georgia
pretty good.
dodges a
Okay.
bullet against Auburn last week. They're favored by 7.5 hosting Ole Miss, and Georgia just doesn't look near. They just don't have the depth. They're not as dominant as they've been. I just don't know. Ole Miss didn't look good last week against Washington State, but they were preparing for Georgia. They didn't care about the Washington State game.
Right.
So,
Almost lose that game, but you're exactly right. They were looking ahead to Georgia and Kiffin. That's a case of a team playing down. Ole
yep,
Miss was the better team,
yep.
start to finish on paper anyway. And then Washington State came out. That's one of their, teams, games like that for Washington State, teams like Washington State, it's their Super Bowl. So they came out hungry, ready to go, and caught Ole
Mhm.
Miss by surprise. And then, in the end, Ole Miss put it together. But yeah, did you hear Lane Kiffin basically called Kirby Smart fat?
Yes. Yes. That was pretty
Oh
funny.
man, Lane Kiffin is
Go look
he's
that
something
up
else.
on Twitter or YouTube. The press conference, the guy at the press conference said, asked Lane Kiffin, "Hey, you and Kirby are two of the most animated guys on the sideline. Who do you say burns more calories during a game, you or Kirby Smart?" And he said, "Well, I just saw Kirby Smart on TV, and it doesn't look like he's burning any calories lately."
Yeah.
That's
uh,
pretty wild. Uh, Next one is number 11, Tennessee at number 6, Alabama. Alabama ranks or excuse me, favored by 7.5. Crazy stat. This is Alabama's fourth week in a row playing a ranked team. They're one of only three SEC teams in the history of the SEC to win three ranked games in a row. So,
mm.
I mean, the stretch Alabama's had is pretty impressive. They won on three. Last week was a close game, and they won by three, which was the spread. That was when you pushed last week.
Oh,
Does Alabama have enough juice in the tank? And does Tennessee, can they make it happen on the road against Alabama? Alabama getting 7.5.
this is going to come down to DeBoer versus Heupel when it gets down into, because as we know, Tennessee played a close one too against Arkansas, Alabama a close one against Missouri. So now, like you said, especially after the stretch you just listed of Alabama, players going to be tired. It's the SEC. That's why they talk about it being the best football conference because you just get beat up week in, week out. This is going to come down to the coaching, the little stuff, the mistakes that are made. But to me, it's going to come down to the play calling, who takes a chance, who sees weakness, and who's able to capitalize on it. The trick play that gets called at the perfect time, type thing. So it'll be
Yep.
interesting to see. But I think this is Heupel versus DeBoer.
So, yeah, that's really good one. You also got number 20 USC at number 13 Notre Dame, rivalry game. Notre Dame favored by 9.5. I'm a little shocked by that. They have been playing some good football of late. USC put it on Michigan last week, really dominated them. Notre Dame, after losing the first two games, they've responded pretty well. Should be a good game. Notre Dame, USC. Lincoln Riley, has he finally got USC turned around? I don't know. I mean, they got the one loss. That was a loss to Illinois, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
on the road. So obviously USC is a lot better team at home than traveling east. And it's going to be a little colder too. I think it's like in the upper 50s or 60s in South Bend, Indiana. Saturday night. And then you got the Holy War. Number 23, Utah at number 15, BYU. BYU's undefeated. And Utah favored by 3.5 on the road. So another rivalry game. BYU, have you seen much of BYU? They got this receiver. I think his last is it Chase Roberts. His last name's Roberts. Dude's good. I mean, he's kind of reminds me of Puka Nakua when he was at BYU.
Okay.
Dude can go get it. He's a top five receiver in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Um, BYU can sling it. So,
I BYU is one of those teams that, like, last week I had the over on them, went to overtime, thankfully, two
double
overtimes
overtime.
got it for me. BYU is one of those teams, and especially in this game, with the way these two have been the last several years, this is shaping up to be a really good game. Utah's defense,
Yeah,
BYU offensively is back this year, so this game might turn out to be the best game of the weekend if
it
you're a
might be.
football guy.
Yeah. Loaded Saturday card. I mean, that's five ranked first ranked matchups on Saturday. So it's loaded college football. Last weekend was tremendous. This weekend should be huge Saturday of football. So, all right, moving to the NFL. WTF Cowboys. They lose on the road to the Panthers. It's just so frustrating. Dak Prescott is having an MVP start to this season. He's leading the league in several categories. The Cowboys offense, I believe, is the number one offense um, in the country, or in the NFL, in the league, but they have the worst defense in the league. It's just so
That's hard to
frustrating.
do.
Couldn't get a stop to save their life against the Panthers. Rico Dowdle, the ex-Cowboy, goes wild on them. I saw a stat. This is statistically speaking, the 11th worst defense in Cowboys history so far. Um, it's just so bad. Like I don't like Overshown might play this week. I don't know how much he helps our defense, but our defense is just so bad. And they lose a game that they should have won.
Yeah, I mean, I think we got, we talk about it before at the risk of beating that horse about everybody gives the Cowboys, everybody wants to beat the Cowboys, so you're going to get everybody's A game. We got Carolina's A game, and it was better than ours. Uh, Last second field goal to beat us. Shouldn't have been this close. Dowdle had the chip on his shoulder. I like the guy. I think you and I both liked him. I like Javonte Williams too.
Oh yeah.
But I probably kept Dowdle if I could. Probably was too much money,
Yeah.
so it is what it is. But second week in a row, the guy's got over 200 yards from scrimmage. So he's had himself quite the two games in a row. So yeah, he buckle your chin strap. He was ready to come play. Panthers were ready, and I don't know. That one
It's just
kind
so
of
frustrating.
yes.
I mean, this is the best season so far Dak Prescott's had. I mean, he's just lighting it up. He's playing at the highest level of his career right now, and we're wasting it. I mean, how many more times we're going to have this? We're wasting this effort from Dak Prescott, and it's also frustrating because the Eagles are struggling. Eagles have lost 2 weeks in a row, and I mean they're floundering. They don't look like the same team. And if we could get it together, uh, play a lick of defense, we'd be at the top of the East right now. But that defense is just it's so bad. We don't have a chance to make playoffs.
Yeah,
With that
and
defense.
that's what you said. The Eagles losing is what you're going. Come on, man. We can gain some ground. We can gain
Yeah.
some ground. Nope. We go out and crap the bed against Panthers. Dak Prescott's 1,600 yards passing this year, 13 touchdowns to only three picks, and it's so frustrating. Like you said, frustrating is the best word because you watch no hope go. Didn't care going into the season. Hope
Yeah.
with the Philly game. Nothing against the Bears. We Giants, Philly Giants,
Packers. I'm
Bears.
expecting us to get blown out by the
Yeah,
Packers,
and just hate
and
it.
we're right there. It Dak hadn't thrown a pick at the last 3 games in a row. No picks, no turnovers for Dak Prescott. 3 games in a row. It's just it's frustrating. Cowboys return home. They're undefeated at home this season. They got a win over the Giants and a tie against the Packers. So they haven't lost at home. They return home Sunday afternoon. It's a 3:25 window against the Commanders. Dan Quinn, head coach, and they don't look as good. They lost to the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
What was that Monday night as well?
Yeah,
So and they're a game up on us. And so, I mean, this is a huge
yeah,
game. Cowboys got to have it if they want any chance. But with this defense, I don't know how you fix it in season. I think the
yeah. I
scheme's
mean,
wrong. I don't think our players are as bad as this. We had a lot of these same players minus Michael Parsons last year, and they weren't great, but they were way better than this.
we weren't giving this up through the air. Um,
No,
if anything, I think our pass rush and our run stopping has improved. Seems like anyway, but our just pass defense has just gone
it's
downhill. And
so
again, I
bad.
don't know if we're zone this zone. I don't know, man. I'd get out of
It's
this zone, whatever we're doing.
yes. I mean, they don't understand. The players can't execute what the calls are. They don't.
Right.
It's obvious. They just haven't been able to figure out whatever zone coverage Eberflus is trying to get them to do. This isn't the personnel for that scheme, and it's obvious. Like you said, we have too good of players in the back end to be this bad at
Mhm.
covering
Right.
receivers. So, okay, let's get to the last segment. It's our picks. Last week I was 3-5. Jimmy with a bounce back week. It's just 5-5, 5-5-1. So still down on the year. But I tell you what, I mean, as bad of a start as it's been, Jimmy. I mean, I'm gonna be on your
Ending.
back the rest of the way because you're only going up. I mean, we've been doing this for way too long, and if everything's gonna even out, and so uh, you're probably gonna get hot here in the
I'm
rest of the
hoping
season
I'm
to
hoping
even
last
things out.
week. Yeah, I'm hoping last week was there's a little
Bounce
smoke,
back.
and they say
Yeah,
where there's smoke, there's fire, and
absolutely.
I'm
All
hoping
right,
we
I
light
have
things up this week.
I have 8 picks. I have 5 in college and 3 in the NFL.
I've got 5 and 5, so I've got
Okay.
10.
All right. Okay, all 5 of my college ones are on Saturday. I'll start South Carolina Gamecocks hosting the Oklahoma Sooners. I think South Carolina at home getting points. It's plus 5.5. OU took that Texas loss pretty hard, I think, and I think it
Mhm.
exposed. I think Texas exposed them that their offense is not going to be able to run the football, and there's ways to attack this OU defense, which was ranked number 1 coming into the Texas game, but a non-explosive Texas offense thus far was able to really torch them in the second half. I think that gives South Carolina a playbook. South Carolina also has a good quarterback, Lenore Sellers, who can run the ball and outside the pocket. I think this is a spot at home for South Carolina, and they're getting points. Home team getting points, nothing better than that. I'm going to take South Carolina plus 5.5 against OU.
We got one Friday game. We've had some success on
Yes, we have.
Fridays. We'll stay with it. Miami and Louisville on Friday. Give me over 50. This total seemed really low, and I think Louisville's going to come out, and I think Louisville's going to do their part. Remember, the most important thing in an over, you got to get the lesser ranked, you got to get the underdog to do their part, and that's what I think happens. I think Louisville comes out, does their part, and Miami takes over and does the rest. So give me over 50 in the Miami Louisville game.
Central Florida hosting West Virginia. West Virginia getting to the point of the season. I mean, they're not any good and they're not getting any hope anytime soon. Central Florida's surprisingly been pretty well. Been a good football team. I think they're 4-2. I think Central Florida at home is a bad spot for West Virginia. Got to travel. I think Central Florida wins by more than a touchdown, so I'll take UCF -7.
LSU Vanderbilt. Give me LSU money line. I think LSU
Ooh, all
wins
right.
this game. Money line, might be a bad bet. They always say take the points, but I think LSU is going to win this one outright. Uh, I think Vanderbilt's good, but I think now it's going to turn to a bad part of the season here for the Commodores. Give me LSU money line in Nashville. They're gonna shut Broadway down.
Okay. I'm excited to watch that game. Rutgers hosting Oregon. Oregon at home last week gets upset by Indiana. Now they got to go from the West Coast over to New Jersey on the East Coast. 17.5 is just too many points. Rutgers plays hard. They're not very talented, but they don't have any quit. Greg Schiano's the head coach. 17.5 for a cross-country flight is just, it's too many points, especially with the shock of Oregon off the loss and Rutgers with the pride. So I'll take Rutgers plus 17.5.
I like it. Georgia Tech and Duke. Georgia Tech plus 1.5. Duke favored in this game. I don't know why. Uh, I think Georgia Tech's the better team, and I think Georgia Tech will get it done. So give me plus 1.5. Georgia Tech. I guess you could take the money line here too, but I like the points just in case.
This surprising when I saw that Duke was favored.
Yeah.
I
Me
find that surprising. All right, sticking with my coast to coast travel, UCLA has won 2 in a row since firing their head coach. They beat Penn State and then won again last week. They're at home in Los Angeles hosting Maryland. Maryland's got to go from Baltimore, Maryland, or outside of Baltimore, all the way to Los Angeles, California, coast to coast. UCLA only favored by 3. They got something cooking. Fire the coach. The team rallies around them. I'm going to take UCLA -3 hosting Maryland.
Okay. Ohio State, Wisconsin, over 41. Ohio State may get this one by
I
themselves.
was about to say that. Yeah.
Uh, Wisconsin's bad. Here's a meme that I saw. Said no drama, no cheating allegations, no scandals, and no wins. Just crappy football. Wisconsin.
That's been
So
them this year. They're bad.
that's them. And I think Ohio State, like I said, if Wisconsin gets on the board, good for them. But Ohio
Yeah,
State, number one team in the nation for a reason. And I think 41 is just not enough.
I
So,
agree. I think Ohio State covers that themselves.
mhm.
That's a great bet. All right, my last college game. Kentucky hosting Texas. Kentucky plus 13. Kentucky's off a bye, so they've had 2 weeks to prepare for this. This is their last gas. Their season's not going well. 2 weeks to prepare for Texas. Texas coming off the high. Can they sustain that? Their last road game against Florida, they got smacked in the mouth. It's the last gasp effort for Kentucky to have any kind of success this season. They got to have this game. They're going to be prepared. They're going to make it dirty football. They're going to play good defense and run the football. They're going to make Texas do the same. And even if Texas wins this game, 13 is just two touchdowns is too much. I see this being a close game that could go either way. It's a night game. Kroger Field ain't the most intimidating place in the world, but if it's close late in the SEC, you don't want to be the road team. So I'm going to take Kentucky plus 13 against Texas.
Man, all right. My last one, Texas Tech, Arizona State. Arizona State's quarterback supposed to go, but again, injury concerns there. Arizona State hasn't been as impressive as preseason everybody thought they were going to be. Give me Tech -7. I think
Great
Tech.
bet.
I think Tech takes this one. I don't even
I do
think it's
too.
close.
7's not enough.
No.
It's just not enough. All right, to the NFL. Cowboys unbeaten at home, hosting the Commanders. I think that streak continues. Cowboys find a way. Dak Prescott playing unbelievable football. Cowboys plus 1.5 hosting the Commanders Sunday.
Love it. Let's go. Bengals, Steelers. Give me Steelers -4. Flacco and Rodgers facing off again, but I don't think it's going to matter. I think the Steelers are the better team, better defense. I don't think the Bengals can stop anyone. I mean, any one of your three sweet girls wants to just line up and run through the Bengals defense. So there's nothing they can do about it. So give me the Steelers -4. Not close. Four's not
Thursday
enough.
night game. Steelers, number one team in the AFC North.
Yep.
All
Thursday
right.
night.
Sunday night. I believe it's a Sunday night game. Yes. It's the 49ers hosting the Falcons. Falcons off a short week. They get the win over the Bills Monday night. Now on a short week, they got to fly from Atlanta all the way across the country to San Francisco. I'm going to stick with that theme in the NFL. 49ers, Brock Purdy, I believe, is back. Is going to start. So I like the 49ers here. San Francisco 49ers -2 hosting the Falcons.
Panthers and Jets. Panthers, big win, as we all know. Jets haven't won at all. Looking for their first big win, and I think they get it here. Panthers are going to be they're going to be riding high emotionally off that Cowboys win. Aaron Glenn, 0-6. He's coming out 1-6. Give me the Jets Jets plus 1.5.
I like that bet too. Go Jets. Monday night game. Is this? Yeah. Oh, there's two Monday night games. All right. Buccaneers Lions. Baker Mayfield's playing some heck of football. Lions were rolling until they lost to the Chiefs last week. I think both offenses are going to come out ready to go. I think this is going to be a fun, exciting Monday night football game. Buccaneers Lions over 52. Go quarterbacks, go offense, go points. Buccaneers Lions over 52.
I like it. Eagles Vikings. Give me Eagles -1. Eagles are going to get it back on track against the Vikings.
Yeah,
I just think the Eagles are the better team.
Yeah.
I think the Eagles of the two, Eagles are the better team. So give me Eagles -1. Colts and Chargers over 48. Colts, man, Jonathan Taylor, just the Colts look good. Chargers are good. I think just what you thought about the Bucks and Lions. I think this game, there's some points scored. So give me over 48 in the Colts and Chargers. And lastly, going to Monday night with you, Bucks and Lions. Give me the Bucks +6. I think the Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield, that team, they're just different. They're what the Lions were last year.
I agree with that.
And I think the Bucks +6. I think they cover that. So
Man, Baker
there you go.
Mayfield's playing great football. He's
Yep.
fun to watch. He's fun to watch. All right, here's the rundown with our picks. We got Jimmy. Friday night, he's got Miami and Louisville over 50. LSU money line on a Saturday against Vanderbilt. Georgia Tech +1.5. Ohio State, Wisconsin over 41. Texas Tech -7. In the NFL, Jimmy's got Steelers on Thursday night -4. On Sunday, the Jets +1.5, Eagles -1, Colts, Chargers over 48, and Monday night he's got the Buccaneers +6. Myself, Creta 3. My college bets, I got South Carolina +5.5, UCF -7, Rutgers +17.5, UCLA -3, and Kentucky +13. NFL bets, I got the Cowboys +1.5, 49ers -2, and the Buccaneers Lions over 52. It's the rundown. That's our show, the Gridiron Grind on Apple Podcasts and YouTube. Check us out. Like, comment, subscribe. Another week. It's going to be a great weekend. Thanks for joining us. Like, comment, subscribe. YouTube, Apple Podcasts, the Gridiron Grind. See you guys next week. See ya.
Yeah.